of cells. And as you look a little closer at the cell, you can see that it's quite a complicated piece of machinery, right? We see here a picture with the mitochondria that are staying on the outside. There's a lot more going on in the cell. And if you look closely at the nucleus there, the gray area in the center, you'll see part of the DNA. But as with anything that's quite complicated, with complicated machinery, things tend to break down as it ages, right? And so you see here some things starting to break down in the cell as it ages, and these kinds of things can actually be measured because they actually result in a physical change to the cell and to the organism. And these changes that occur at the genetic and the cellular level end up affecting the way that we perform as an organism. That's you. The way that you can think as you age and the way that you look as you age. And that's why, as we start to age, as Joe has already shared with us, people have spent thousands of years and billions of dollars searching for that answer to you, the answer to the aging problem. That fountain of youth. So we've talked about some of the basics today, and this is a product workshop that we're at, right? This is a product workshop, am I at the right place? All right. So we're going to be a little bit more product focused as we talk about the answers that we have to the situation of aging. But remember, through all of this, that the age-lock approach, as Joe has already described, is to target the sources of aging. That's what age-lock is about. Not the signs and the symptoms, not covering up the lack of energy as we age by maybe drinking more coffee or Red Bull, or just covering up the way that we look, but rather going to the sources of why we age, doing something about it. So I'm going to talk about those things today. Now, as I mentioned, the cell is very complex. And as with anything complex, then you can understand that there's not just one simple answer, right? There's not one simple cause of aging, but there are many different causes of aging that work together. So you can see, for example, that genes are related to our aging process. We know that there are other causes of changes that occur during aging as well. The body chemistry seems to change. Hormones and stress chemicals, things like that. Our physiology changes as we age, the way that our bodies control glucose and all of those things, and even our behavior then causes aging. So these things work together, but ultimately, again, as I described, the furthest upstream that you can go to changes that occur during the aging process is at the genetic level. If genes are expressing themselves at a youthful level, then youthful productivity of the cell will remain. And if the cells are healthy, then we will remain youthful in feeling and appearance. Okay? So the organism, who's that? That's you, right? That's you and me. That's what we ultimately need to affect and see as we try to regulate the changes that occur during the aging process. Now, one of the areas that I think we've already described to you is mitochondria. This is a great place to start because as we age, what is it that we start to feel? A little bit less energy as we age, right? We've seen some great slides of people jumping around as they start to tackle the aging process. Mitochondrial activity does change with age. In fact, by the time we're about 60, the efficiency of the mitochondria that produce all of the energy that we need for brain function, for mental acuity, all of those things, for muscle energy, has declined by 40% already. Isn't that amazing? We measure that, and later I'll talk about how we can change that. Something else happens as we age as well, and that is related to the way that our cells can cleanse and renew themselves. It's not something that is quite as obvious, but as the cell ages, it loses its ability to renew itself. So remember the complicated machinery that I talked about. You saw some of it. It's the mitochondria and other things that are going on in the cell. There are proteins that start to age and then change their shape. They could be structural proteins, they could be enzymes, but they start to age. And the cell needs to be able to recognize the proteins that are getting old, and needs to be able to replace them, to get rid of them, and make new ones. And that declines as we age. So there's the aging 1-2 punch at the cellular level. Decreased energy and decreased ability to renew itself and to cleanse itself, become new again. So remember, our approach is to target the sources of aging.
Hello.
So we'll talk a bit about that when I talk about some great products for anti-aging in the next 20 minutes or so. But before I go there, what is it that gives us our edge? What is it that enables Nu Skin to do such amazing things? Joe's already talked to you about some of the people that we collaborate with. We have scientists at Nu Skin, about 75 or 100 scientists on staff, about 30 PhDs in that group. And we also have a very robust scientific advisory board. You may have met some of these people, world-class scientists in very different areas of expertise. And as you view these scientists on our SAB, you know a little bit about their background, and immediately you know that some of these scientists are skin scientists, and some are biologists in other areas. And as you bring these scientists together in very different disciplines, we're able to approach the aging problem in a very different way. In fact, innovation, the discovery and creation of new things, occurs at that intersection of different disciplines. Well, two of our latest scientists in this area are Dr. Weinrich, who Joe has already talked to you about. This man has studied the aging process all of his life. So for over 30 years, Dr. Weinrich has studied why we age. And he's done some amazing experimentation and work in the area of anti-aging, but not just studying what happens while we age, but also studying nutritional regimens that can slow the aging process. Dr. Weinberg is so renowned in his field that in the US and around the world, whenever a new paradigm comes out with aging, he ends up on the TV. They ask him, how does this work? Is this legitimate? With all of your understanding and expertise in aging, is this the direction that we should be going? So very well recognized. And you'll see him in interviews on the biggest TV stations around the world. Thomas Kroller, his partner from LifeGen Technologies, has a very different background. Actually, by training, he hasn't studied aging, even though he's always been very interested in aging. Thomas Kroller is a geneticist. And when we first met him, he expressed to me some of his frustrations in this area. While he has a great understanding of genetics, he has more or less for many years been working in the area of cancer genetics. And he's done some very productive work in that area, but he expressed to me a little frustration. He said, before I met Rick Weinberg, I was frustrated that there was no areas of working with genetics and aging. So when he met Weinberg at the University of Madison, Wisconsin, he said, this is a great opportunity for us to get together two entirely different disciplines and start to apply the field of genetics to aging. So together they work and discover some amazing things. And really, the key to what they discovered is looking at gene expression using this little chip here, the gene chip, that can measure the expression of all 25,000 genes in your body. And using this, compare the state of age to, in a separate experiment, the state of youth. And then find those genes that change during the aging process. So, for the first time, LifeGen Technologies was able to show the world how to measure aging at the genetic level. And that's really the key to our new age-lock technology. That's about the time that we met them. So they have, as Joe described, a huge database now that goes back for many, many years that help us to understand aging at this genetic level. And we use this database that nobody else has as we start to explore changes that occur during aging in the genetic process and how to reset those genes. And we apply this to those problems that I talked about, energy decline, as well as trying to renew the cell as we age. Now, Joe already explained this experiment to you, right? So, for example, we have now, what this technology allows us to do is to find what is the pattern of age as it relates to gene expression. And Joe already described to you, for example, on the right here we have an aging cell. There's a pattern that indicates age that's out of control. And you see on the left side, the pattern that shows us youth. So now that we can measure aging at the genetic level, what can we do next? We can now screen for ingredients that can reset the gene expression pattern back to something youthful that we want in our own bodies. So, as we, for example, show this experiment with 5 different ingredients, which of these ingredients has reset an older individual's genetic expression pattern back to a youthful one? Number 4, right? Yes, behind door number 4, there is your prize. That is a resetting of gene expression back to a youthful pattern. And that's what we look for. And it really is, it does deserve an applause because this is a remarkable achievement to even be able to do this. It's one thing to be able to measure aging at the genetic level, but then to be able to screen for ingredients and actually find ingredients that reset them is a major accomplishment. So here are some of the compounds that we found, for example, that reset mitochondrial youth gene expression. We have the cordyceps sinensis, we have ginseng, and we have pomegranate. Now some of these are surprises, and some of these not so much a surprise. We've had cordyceps in our lineup of products for many years now, and it's well established in traditional Chinese culture that this has an effect on vitality. But it was extremely rewarding to find that this actually did affect gene expression in such a dramatic way for the mitochondria. The pomegranate, on the other hand, who would have thought? You don't normally think of pomegranate as an anti-aging mitochondrial ingredient, right? That wasn't really known before. But some of the insights that we gained is that it's not just the muscle mitochondria that we need to affect, right? As you age, we become a little bit more forgetful, don't we? Our mental acuity seems to decline as we age. This is clearly measurable. It turns out that the pomegranate is very good for resetting the mitochondria in the brain. Now, before I go any further, I also want to point out that these are special preparations that we have, special extracts of each of these fruits. So while the fruits themselves may be good, while cordyceps may be good and ginseng as well on their own, Pharmanex actually has special preparations of these ingredients that make them somewhat unique. And not all of them work the same in these gene expression resetting experiments. So we have zeroed in on the exact preparation of these ingredients that give us the most potent effect. And the combination, of course, is extremely potent. What about the cell renewal? There are some unexpected areas here. As the cell renews itself, there are some phytochemicals, some nutrients and chemicals from the plants that seem to affect that renewal process much more dramatically. And so in those same models of gene expression, we have found that a certain extract of the blood red orange can actually affect the gene expression patterns that help with renewal and cleansing of the cell. And the same with a certain preparation of grapeseed extract and broccoli. So then we have R squared. And I have to ask you now, why is it important to take R squared day and night together? These are 2 separate products, but they work together intimately. So it consists of these 2 products that are designed to be taken as a set. So taken in the evening, Age-Lock R squared night purifies and restores the cells while you sleep, helping them to be younger again, so that you can wake up feeling healthy and refreshed and renewed. While taken in the morning, Age-Lock R squared day kickstart those cells for maximum energy production. That's when you want to be awake and alert with good cognitive function, right? So it's unique in the industry because it targets the sources of aging with our age-lock model, and it combines that synergy of cellular renewal and cellular energy. This is really at the heart of keeping those cells healthy. All right, so there's another very important aspect to youth and aging. And I want to talk a little bit about this. I think we all understand, right, that obesity does have effects on our health. Whether or not we stay slim or we allow our bodies to become more fat can have a huge influence on our health. This is very well established. But I guess the question I ask is, does being fat actually accelerate the aging process? Is there a connection there? What do you think? It's a tough one. I think that there are some assumptions that we make that are fairly intuitive, but scientists are not always convinced, so we need to investigate that a little more fully. So when we're overweight, we may actually look young on the outside, and sometimes we may look younger than a skinny person because there are less wrinkles. But actually science is now showing that underneath we are aging at a faster rate. Right? And I've shown you this before, all the different things that affect aging. We now know that fat does influence gene expression. That fat can accelerate the decay of genes, literally accelerate that decay of genes. And so now in some models we can see that a person who's very overweight is actually about 9 years older at the genetic level. Now why is that? I have a medical model here of about 2 kilograms of fat. This is what 2 kilograms of fat looks like in your body. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Now, fat actually serves a purpose, right? It's a way that we can store energy in the body. And for years, actually, we have thought of fat as very passive. Do you know what I mean by passive? Not active at all, but storing energy somewhere in the body where we can use it later when we need energy, right? But now it turns out scientists understand fat in a whole new light. It's actually biologically very active. It's excreting hormones and inflammatory chemicals that affect the entire body. And it turns out now we understand that it does affect gene expression in the rest of the body. So we no longer think of fat as just sitting there waiting to be used up for extra energy, but now we see it as metabolically active, having a potent effect on the rest of the body and the aging process. This fat can affect not only gene expression, but it affects the body chemistry. As I mentioned, stress hormones, inflammatory proteins, hormones are excreted by the fat and affect the body and its aging process. Fat can affect the physiology because it can affect insulin function, so therefore the way the body handles glucose and all those other things. And it can affect our behavior too, right? When we're overweight, we're much less inclined to be physically active because it's just not as much fun. So it can affect our mood, our energy levels, but at a deeper level, it does affect the aging process. Now, the question, I guess, is this a problem in Southeast Asia? As I look around you, actually I see, well, it's the wrong crowd, right? We're new-skinned people here, we're young, and we're really looking beautiful. But, you know, just walk around an American city, and you can see that the problem is widespread. I don't think the problem is as bad here, but we don't escape. While it may not be as bad as Europe or the US, look at the statistics here. Now these are somewhat old, they're about 10 years old, a lot of these data, but you can see that obesity and overweight is starting to affect Asia a lot more than before. Now the question is, again, is that a bad thing? We'll talk a little bit more later about some of those effects. But I'm excited that we already have here in place an excellent weight management program, and that's the TRA, the right approach. This is patented. It's a weight management program for long-term weight control, not just for quick weight loss. It's designed to help boost metabolism, reduce carbohydrate cravings, and maintain normal stress hormone or cortisol levels. And the Southeast Asia region is doing more than any other market in the world with this amazing program. It's having a really great impact and being a force for good throughout the world. So you really should be proud of yourself for what you're doing with TRA. And TRA, this right approach, includes providing the right products, right? And each of these products in our TRA lineup is designed to attack a specific area of weight control, as I mentioned before. But, you know, Joe sort of hinted at it before, and we may be wondering, is TRA really an age-lock story? My answer is definitely yes, it does fit into the age-lock category. Why is that? Because as I've shown you, adipose tissue has a negative effect on aging. So TRA is not just a weight management program, is it? It's an anti-aging program. I hope you recognize that this is part of the anti-aging strategy that Nu Skin has. It's not just about weight loss, it's about keeping people younger. Now, while TRA has the right product and the right nutrition and the right exercise program, does it actually affect genes? Have we been able to show that? Well, with our age-lock tool, we are actually equipped to examine the effect of ingredients on weight loss. So genes regulate the storage of fat as well as the breakdown of fat. Let me show you some of the work that we've done looking at Southeast Asia's TRA program. So you can break down the gene expression of weight loss in two areas, right? They're all regulated by genes, but research has shown us that TRA down-regulates the genes that would otherwise lead to the storage of fat. And likewise, many of the genes that code for messages that break down the stored fat are increased in their level of expression as you take these products. So this is what we want to see for healthy weight loss, right? So is this not exciting that we now have shown you that gene expression is affected by your TRA? So we continue to investigate this role. As Joe has already hinted, we are looking much more closely at TRA and age-locking TRA in this area even more effectively. We're looking at the role of gene expression in muscle, which is really important, right? Because as you lose weight, you want to maintain muscle mass. So it's not just really looking at gene expression in the fat, but actually making sure that during your weight loss program, that the muscle is expressing genes in a way that will maintain its integrity, so that you don't lose muscle, because that's all about your shape. We also need to examine gene expression in the brain, because during weight loss, your mood is affected, right? Your appetite is all up here in the brain, isn't it? Whether or not your brain is receiving the reward signal properly after you've eaten enough food and not too much. So all of those things, gene expression in the brain is also extremely important. So we'll be looking at gene expression in the adipose tissue, the muscle, and the brain at least. So I want to remind you also that these things come together. Age-lock R squared is actually a very important adjunct to your weight loss and weight management program. This is because during weight loss, the fat cells release not only fatty acids into the blood to be used up, but they also release toxins that accumulate in the adipose tissue over the time that you've accumulated that fat. These toxins may come from fat-soluble toxins in the environment, pesticides, paints, things like that, pollution, but also some that come from the body itself. And as we lose weight, and as these toxins are released into the bloodstream, they can actually even further sabotage our best weight loss efforts. So it's very important then that we have effective cellular cleansing going on. Your cells need even more help during weight loss than at normal times. And so that's where R squared can work really nicely during a weight loss effort. Now I promised that I would talk a little bit also about skin and aging, right? Nu Skin has done some incredible things in the skin area. After launching age-lock transformation, Joe did not let personal care have a rest, take a break. He said, no, it's Farmanex's turn, you're off the hook. No, he asked, what is next? Right? And we've already got the galvanic spa for skin on the face and an amazing set of products that have really made a difference. fact, my wife just the other day she uses the galvanic spa a lot, and she's looking really young. She had a 20-year high school reunion just this last weekend, and she came back just all excited and happy, and I said, why are you looking so proud of yourself? You had a good reunion then? And she said, well, what I learned was that all my old school friends really do look old now. They look at least 10 years older than me. And all my friends were commenting on how good I looked and how young I looked. I mean, I looked at least 10 years younger. So that's, she said, that's because I use this galvanic spa and these new skin products that I've been using for nearly 20 years now. And then she got after me, Mark, you need to be starting to use the galvanic spa more often. So it's really working, and I really need to try to catch up to my wife, or soon I'll look like her father. So this works great together. But there is a difference between aging in the face and aging in the body. Did you know that? Absolutely. So, you know, with our skin in the face, a little bit of fat actually looks good. It can actually sort of get rid of the wrinkles, or make the wrinkles look smaller. But this age-lock galvanic spa for the body is focusing on the body, which is quite different. So the skin on the body shows its age quite differently to facial skin. When we're young, our skin on the face has a youthful sort of plumpness that's created by a little bit of fat under the surface. And as these fat deposits diminish, this contributes to an aged appearance. And we tend to have less fat on the face as we get older. But in the body, it's quite different. As we get older, fat starts to accumulate where we don't want it, the least, right? Remember? So the thighs, more accumulation there. The buttocks, more accumulation there. And the abdomen, you notice that as you get a little older, right? And the upper arms. It's really quite different to facial aging. And so we thought we need to look at aging in the body with a slightly different approach. So using our age-log tool then, we started to look at gene expression on the skin that's on the body, not the face, and it really is quite different. It's remarkable, even though it's still skin, that the gene expression patterns are different there. We were able to look at genes whose expression contributed to these mechanisms that result in the aged appearance of body skin. And as we identified and targeted those genes, we found ingredients that reset them to a more youthful gene expression. So this is a whole new chapter in age-lock science designed especially for skin on the body. This is very exciting because, as Joe has mentioned, nobody else is doing this. So now, just as we've age-locked our facial gels for the galvanic spa, we can now turn back your skin's clock with a whole new approach, the same tools, but with different ingredients that can reset gene expression for the skin in the body. So, yes. Now, of course, I think you've been trying that already, right? Many of you with the facial spa and the new head have been trying that on the body, and we know that that head just simply is not big enough to cover those areas of the body's skin. So, of course, that's where we came up with the age-lock galvanic body spa. And this one is better designed to target large surface areas like the upper thighs, the abdomen, and the contours of the body. And it features the patent-pending age-lock conductive surface. You've seen it looks like a tire tread, right? It's actually a specially designed pattern that increases the level of those active ingredients under the skin between that galvanic current, so that it captures 10 times more product with that new conductor. And of course, we're seeking, did you know that there's a pulsating current that's going through this new body spa? Do you know what I mean by pulsating current? You probably don't have to water your lawns with a sprinkler here, right? But if you can imagine a hose where you turn the hose on and then up and down, up and down, where you get a pulsing, this actually works very well. This galvanic pulsing current has been shown now to help purify and refresh the skin because it opens up those microcirculation channels. So again, these things are working together. As I mentioned, we have new skin scientists that work on skin and the body. And as we work together, it's amazing what new areas that we can come up with anti-aging. So these work together now. If you can see a connection between R squared that helps to purify at the cellular level, and this new body galvanic spa with a pulsating current that actually helps to open up those very minute channels and allow for even further purification and cleansing of the skin to make it look much more radiant, much more refreshing and healthy. So, I guess the question is, does it really work? Can we show that the age-lock galvanic body spa really works? We did a study with 30 individuals, and these 30 individuals used the galvanic spa 3 times a week with dramatic effects and the body shaping gel. And then after that period of time, after 8 weeks, we used independent expert graders to look and see if there was an improvement in those areas of the skin that I talked about, the upper thigh, the abdomen, and the arms. And these are the results that we showed. 85% showed improvement in this area of the body, the upper arms, thighs, and the abdomen. So we actually have now professional clinical data proof that this does work. And sometimes a photo is better than 1,000 words, but I'm not sure if with this projection you can see clearly, but there's a very big difference here. You can see that the dimpling of the skin before is much more pronounced than after treatment with the body galvanic spa. So we're targeting the sources of aging inside and outside, right? This is a unique approach that Nu Skin can do in looking at the body, the health, the aging on the inside of the body and the outside. So some key takeaways then. Age-lock can measure aging at the genetic level. And because we can do that, we can now target the genes that are at the source of aging and then reset those to a youthful pattern of gene expression. I'm excited that TRA, the right approach to weight loss, can also affect aging. We need to remember, as we use TRA, that this is not just a weight loss program, but that it's actually helping us to age better. And finally, the age-lock galvanic spa can provide a solution for both the body and the face. So, you know, it's not just about losing weight anymore, is it? It's not just about looking beautiful. We want to live long. That's great. Almost everyone's wish is to live long, but to live well is the ambition of the few. With age-lock products and the age-lock approach, we can not only live long, but live better longer, be more beautiful, and stay young all the days of our lives. Thanks very much, everyone.
Dr. Bartlett, for the wonderful information. Kindly remain on stage for the question and answer session. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the host for this segment, Ms. Pranuma Tongkravu, Marketing Manager for Nu Skin, Thailand.
Good morning, Southeast Asia. Good morning, our honorable guests, and good morning, Dr. Mark Bartlett. And thank you very much for joining us today. So, I am sure that we learned a lot, and everyone is excited about the latest technology age-lock. So we definitely believe that the future is bright. We will look, feel, and live younger. So I'm sure that the audiences today has many questions for you and Dr. Joe. So let me also invite Dr. Joe back here to be with us today. Please welcome once again Dr. Joe Shan. Alright, so thank you very much for joining us today, Dr. Josham and Dr. Mark. So, we have so many questions from the audiences about the age-lock and R-square, and I have pre-selected the most popular questions. Let us hear from you, Dr. Joe. Ready?
Yes.
The first question is, how R-square best complement with TRA?
Okay. Well, TRA is going to work better with when you take R squared. And as you know,